go!
When the go came, both crews really squeezed it away quite nicely. They're both up, they're both ready, and they're both off and into the race.
A loud pulsing breathing there is just getting into the rhythm and using that sort of breathing exhale on the finish to set their pace.
Henley!
Well, that is the voice of Boris Rankov, quite rightly steering the Henley crew, getting them to make sure they stay on their station. You often get a little bit pushed out by the island, a bit of stream comes off the top of it, the boat gets pushed wide, and they need to make a little correction, as Headington will be pleased to see they've got a little half-length lead just coming out the top of the island.
It's always slightly disorientating for the steerswomen or steersmen as you sort of come up to the island there, particularly on that sort of Buckinghamshire station on the right-hand side of the shot as we came off the starting blocks. Maybe just a bit of the shadows or something, it just sort of messes with your mind and you don't quite get the line right, and obviously you're always terrified of hitting the booms as you come up to them off the end of the island. Well,
it's Madeleine Pollard. We can see her in the bow seat. She's the furthest one away from us, and she's using that rudder to steer, so she won't have a completely clear view of the orange rifle sights, I like to think of them as, but there's a large orange stick and a V-shaped cup that you line up, and then you know you're going down the middle of the lane. She won't have a clear view of that sitting in the bow seat. And actually now as they're coming past the quarter mile, I think Headington will be pleased to be just gliding out here towards about a length lead.
It's not space age technology, is it? But it works okay, doesn't it? And that's the same with the steering systems, with a shoe and a piano wire and a rudder at the end of the boat. But here we go, and Headington taking the lead here on Henley Rowing Club B. Henley Rowing Club, a very strong force in junior rowing with their top quad and their 8, and here we are, a good crew from Headington just taking their lead on the race here and settling into something that's going to take them all the way down.
Well, if you think about it really, Headington School are an established force in women's junior rowing. Henley Rowing Club, more of an emerging force with a women's junior programme. 2 strong quads qualified for this Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup. But now we're looking at the Headington crew. Charlotte Baker in the stroke seat. This is her first year racing at Henley, but she's trialling for the GB team. Sat behind her, Lucy Pullinger. She raced the Coupe de la Jeunesse last year, and they're setting up a nice rhythm there for Tilly Byrne and Hannah Hornby beside them to keep following, keep moving with.
Yeah, that's a lovely sort of symmetrical shot there. That's part of the beauty of quad sculling, is you get that lovely symmetry of all 8 oars moving in and out of the boat together, and that rhythm is just infectious. You can pick it up from the TV screen. Just watching the steering here on the left-hand side of the Henley Rowing Club crew and just getting warned there. Or is it Headington? They both moved into the middle a bit, haven't they?
Well, they have both got drawn into the middle a bit. Sometimes your wake, when you're in front like the Headington crew, your wake can almost just suck the other crew in. They just catch the bow wave and get pulled in. But I think, again, Boris is perfectly right there to push that Headington crew back onto their station.
Yeah, there's no need for not that they would collide at this sort of stage in the race when there's a decent bit of gap, but it just keeping the race fair and giving both crews a good shot to row down through the middle of the guts of the race on a good level playing field.
Well, there used to be a time when crews would try to shut the door once they got in front and come across and wash down the other crews. That's not allowed here at Henley anymore, as we see again this quad from Headington moving really nicely with those carbon fibre riggers, the carbon fibre blades. Everything just looks really smooth and sort of locked up well together.
It does, doesn't it? It looks sort of stiff and sort of racy, doesn't it? And you could just see that little weight that you were talking about on that sort of on the right hand side, that Headington crew in that bright blue. You could just see the little ripples coming off the bow, and like you were saying, they do just eventually head over and head towards where that Henley Rowing Club crew is. So it's worth keeping them on the right station.
Well, these girls have been racing in 8s a lot of the time this year. When we look at the Headington crew, they've reached the quarterfinal at Henley Women's Regatta, racing in this quad, having got out of their 8s earlier on in the year. But they came up against the Henley A crew, who eventually won that race. Now they're against the Henley B crew. 3 of these athletes were the gold medal winning Championship 8 earlier on this year, but now they've switched to the quad as well, so they can all be racing here. So as well as doing Henley Women's Regatta, they can now move on and race at Henley Royal Regatta.
It's great, isn't it? Such a good, exciting season for a junior girl in rowing now. It's such great events, and it's great to see both these crews looking very well drilled and really out there racing, you know. You can just see the edge of the sharpness, a little bit more sharpness on the crew now on the left-hand top of the screen in the Headington boat. A little bit sharper and tighter than that Henley crew, which is why they are just that length or so ahead, really, isn't it?
Well, they are just that little bit sharper, that little bit smoother, and you can just see the boat moving along so nicely. You see the stern there. Tends to talk sometimes about whether the stern checks, whether it dips, and there's really no interference on that yellow Headington boat. It's just moving smoothly through the water.
Yeah, you're right, Greg, isn't it? It is just, if you just look at the tip, that far tip on the left-hand side, you can just see it's just a little bit more stable in the water, whereas the white boat of the Henley Rowing Club crew just jumps around a little bit more, which just shows it's just not quite as well timed as you would like. Still very good, but just not quite spot on.
Well, it's a lovely picture there. You can just see the water, the little white wash just comes over that little bit of black tape every catch.
Yeah.
So that stern just kind of digs in just a little bit, and you can imagine you've got the weight, it's got to change direction, you've got to time it right so you don't cause any dig on the boat. So just saw that slight difference in terms of the efficiency of the Headington crew.
Just heard some of the calls there saying raise it up, let's go, you know, great bit of time here as you come sort of into the enclosures, come into the regatta closure first, you start to hear the cheers from your friends and your family, and then through Stewart's enclosure up to the finish, so they know they're coming into the closing stages. They'll want to be wrapping this up.
They will want to be wrapping it up, and we see now the stern of that Headington boat, and you can see again there's also black tape over the yellow, but on this boat the black tape doesn't disappear below the waterline on the stern. That little white wash doesn't appear, and that means they're not checking the boat quite as much as the crew from Henley Rowing Club. It could mean that. It could also mean they've just got a slightly bigger boat.
Yes, that is another way of putting it, but I do think you're right there. That change of direction, which is so important in the boat, to not send it plummeting into the water, is just a little bit better in that yellow boat there.
Well, I'm not a rowing coach, but you like to look for these things. You like to look for these little clues that show you the smoothness is there, and I think that's just that little bit of check, just the sort of thing that shows us that smoothness makes the difference as we see the Headington crew coming towards us. Hannah Hornby in the bow seat. She said winning the Peabody Cup for Championship 8 at Henley Women's Regatta in 2017 was one of the highlights of her career. She wants to add a new highlight this year, racing here in the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup. They're coming down now past the progress board as the grandstands are filling up and sculling really smoothly.
That's a great battle there from the Henley B crew. Obviously we're expecting big things from the Henley A crew, but that's great that they've been here racing on the Friday. Yeah,
racing on the Friday, but the crew we'll see on Saturday will be the Headington School from Oxford as they cross the line just ahead of the Henley Rowing Club B crew. And we see confirmation there of that win in the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Sculls for Headington.